Today is Tuesday, June 10th, 2023, 24th. Excuse me, June 24th, 2025, 6 o'clock, Board of Health meeting. Roll call, Dr. Christian Ramirez, Chairman.
Charles Paul Serene.
Todd Arsenal.
There won't be any additions or deletions to the agenda. On 1.2, so 1.3, we will be doing the appointment for vice chair and clerk at this time. I will present a motion for the vice chair, for Charles Paul Serene as the vice chair of the Board of Health. Who seconds it?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor of the voting, say aye.
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 And can I get a motion to appoint clerk, Mr. Todd Arsenal?
I make a motion to appoint Todd Arsenal, the clerk.
I second it. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That was weird voting on yourself. I was like,
Okay, so we have officially a constituted board. 1.4, appointments, hearings, septic permits for review. We do have,
You have one, it is for new construction for 23 North End Road, and I'm sure that Rick would like to talk to you about it.
Yep, so you have a copy of the plan, right, Carla?
Yes, I'm putting it out right now.
So this is a new construction, a proposed new construction lot. They'll be served by a well and a septic. The driveway is actually coming off of Townsend Hill Road, but the road frontage is on North End Road. So it has an address of 23 North End Road. It's a proposed 4-bedroom house with the well kind of in off the end of the driveway. 2,500 gallon 2-compartment septic tank, and that will gravity feed to 3 53-foot trenches that are vented. It is new construction, so it's in full compliance with both your regs and with the Title V regulations.
any questions?
nope.
Can I get a motion to approve septic permit for 23 North End Road in Townsend?
I make a motion to approve 23 North End Road, Townsend, Mass.
Second it.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, unanimous.
My question is, are these the old trenches or is this
This is brand new, so this is future expansion.
future expansion?
This is the proposed.
That's the proposed, that will be the expansion, okay?
We have any other permits?
You do not?
Okay. But I don't know how this work out.
So.
Okay. We go to 1.5, tobacco fees and recycling center fee discussion.
We really don't have anything on the recycling center fee discussion because we're still working on a contract with Shaw's for the recycling center on its own to be kept out of the municipal and the residential trash budgets. So I suspect that we will have that at our next meeting. It comes from our general revolving account, so it's not something that needs to be done by the end of this fiscal year. I also, we'll save my next update for curbside trash and recycling, but Rick and I honestly, Christian, couldn't remember why the tobacco fees were on there. Do you remember why? Were we looking at increasing fees?
I think that's something that we were gonna talk about it, but we were gonna wait until,
The state comes back. That was it. Okay. So I will check with Joan on what the state status is, because that's what we were waiting for that. And the recycling center fee discussion, if it pleases the chairman, I'd like to co-host that to our next meeting, which I see is scheduled as July 8th. If everyone's okay with that.
I mean, we can postpone it, uh. And we can talk a little bit further about the proposals that we have. Which I can anticipate that we're gonna talk about special discounts for the senior citizens, so that is something new that we're gonna add on to that. Per the vote and the consideration for the board. But we can talk more in detail about that in our next meeting.
Is everyone in agreement that our next meeting will be July 8th?
Yes, I already have it booked. July work for you?
As it does now, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Residential trash discussion, 1.6. So we have identified, the owners of the property in discussion, which for privacy, we are not going to disclose the address. But I am requesting for the owners of the property to do their proper diligence, since they were served on their property. What is the name of the letter?
It is an order
An
for
order.
sanitary code violations, and a constable served it at the address that was found, so they have been served.
So I asked for the owners of this residence, which they know where they are, to please comply with the sanitary order. You know, and for the good of the people who lives in that property. Other than that, I don't have any other comments regarding this property.
Rick, do you have any update on the other two addresses that we were discussing?
Yeah, so the one on South Harbor Road, it doesn't look like anything has been done out there. The yard's pretty unkept in general. And then the Pine Street property did get cleaned up quite a bit. There is still a refrigerator that had its doors removed and a toilet on the property, but all like the loose trash and everything that's been picked up, so the yard looks significantly better.
Excellent.
So for the previous property, Rick, how should we move forward as board?
So the order gave them a timeline. It was a little while ago that I wrote it, but I believe it was 20 days, if I remember right. And so we'd have to let that time pass by, and that's from the date of service from the constable.
20 days, yes.
20 days, yeah. So once that 20 days passes, if they have not complied with the order, then you could talk to the board and to town council about kind of our options about where we could go with it.
Maybe we should get town council hours for July. Rick,
Probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
talk to town council about that.
We've done our due diligence, time wise. This was the last straw, right, the constable?
And the thing is that the reason we are seeking town council is to determine what further actions, if that would entail, going to housing court, if I'm not mistaken. Regarding to, the Board of Health enforces its authority to the court. And since here in Townsend, we have to request, all that through legal and through the town administrator, we just have to do it that way.
Assuming we haven't done this before.
So this is something new that we've been experiencing, and I want to request the people that the Board of Health is here to see, to work for the health of the people of Townsend, and it is important that the people have to do their part. We, the board, we do our part, but the people has to do their part as well to maintain the houses clean and the areas clean. And especially now in summer that infestations, things can happen, so.
Do we have a bylaw somewhere?
For,
Specific charges or what, action?
So all those were cited under the state sanitary code, and it's got a section in there that talks about maintenance of land, and you can't have excess refuse and garbage, and they define that in the yard. So it's under the state sanitary code.
Consequences. Bylaw or anything,
no,
Not
we,
there's no local bylaw.
But that's something that we can talk about and present for a possible town hall meeting. I mean,
what was gonna happen, if it is happening, it should be something somewhere someday, right?
Now with the new trash in the bags, people can't afford, or if they're ticked off and they don't want to use them and they're just leaving their trash, we might need the bylaw because of the circumstances.
so we can certainly talk to Adam about that as well in July.
Yeah, good idea.
And the state sanitary code will cover that as well. So it'd likely be a redundant bylaw,
Okay.
unless
Okay,
you wanted
thank
to make it specifically. You guys have Carla, the littering and recycling regulations, and I think it covers a lot of the stuff as far as curbside trash.
You're right, we do,
Okay.
we do.
Cause we start getting complaints.
good. Okay, any other discussions regarding the residential trash discussion? Anyone? No? Okay,
Probably let Rick go too, because.
okay, Rick, thank you.
All right, have a good night.
You too.
Bye, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
1.7 curbside trash and recycling. I want to thank the people of Townsend for voting for the proposed trash and recycling program. I wish to bring to consideration to everybody that last Sunday, June 22nd, it was brought up to our attention that that there were no purple bags in any store here in Townsend. And people were complaining about it, and it was brought up to my attention, and we made the decision on allowing people for this week to use their regular bags, since there were no purple bags here in town, in order to avoid any possible infestations or anything like that. And for the people that did not have the purple bags, it was allowed for them to use a maximum of 64 gallons of trash, which is the equivalent of a barrel. The reason why this decision was made, just to avoid, again, any infestations, any situation like that, and because the Board of Health had given me the authority under the trash. And plus, in an emergency situation like this, had to be made and communicated electronically. That is why I had made the determination to do that. That's why it was determined also that it was going to be something done for this week. I apologize if I didn't communicate to my board members on a timely manner through our health administrator about this decision and gotten to be learned via social media slash website. But that is something that needed to be done on a fast matter. And I wish to tell the people that we already placed the orders for the purple bags. So hopefully, when are we expecting to?
Small bags should be available in the stores Thursday or Friday, and the large bags should be in first of next week.
So the allowance of the use of the regular bags for the people is until when, Carla? This week until Saturday, if I'm not mistaken correctly. So that is why this decision was made. And I want to also remember to my board that we have an open meeting law. And because of the open meeting law, I am not able to communicate with any board member individually because 2 people for this board is a quorum. And if I do that through a text message or even through an email or a call, we will be violating the open meeting law. So I wish to establish then that any future communications for the board, that the town administrator will communicate to the rest of the board members for that. It's not because I don't want to answer, it's just that I don't want this board to get into any trouble regarding the open meeting law. That is why that is why about this, and I will not tolerate any violation of the open meeting law. Since I've been in this board, we haven't had any violations of the open meeting law. Any questions in that matter?
Okay. Before you continue, while we're on the trash and recycling discussion, legal had reviewed the 2-month extension for Shaw's. They asked for it to be in the format that they specified. We have the format, everything is in. The only thing that we don't have is the prevailing wage number and page. So I am respectfully asking the Board of Health to again sign this. You'll see where you already did this at the last meeting. It is now, your signed is under exhibit number 1 and exhibit number 2 is the prevailing wage. I have been told that the prevailing wage goes through the fiscal year 2006, but town council wants to verify that. So again, I think it's important that we get this signed, especially where legal has approved it. We're only waiting to make sure that the prevailing wage is right. Nelson expedited it first thing in the morning and asked for it. So if this one isn't okay, we'll have one tomorrow, but time's ticking and July 1st is gonna come and you should have a contract. So if it pleases the board, I'd like you to sign this.
Can I get a motion to sign the revised extension of the municipal solid waste and recyclable materials collection, processing and disposal agreement between the town of Townsend and J.W. Shaw and Son Inc.? Can I get a motion for that to sign as a board?
I second it.
Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Excellent. We're also still working on the Waste Zero contract. There's been a little bit of discrepancy about how the contract is worded. So we're still working with Way Zero and legal for that. I do have in your packages the emails that have been going around. Again, trying not to violate open meeting law, so I was sending things out individually to let you know that it was on the agenda tonight. But I really don't have any update right now until I get back from town council and Way Zero.
Okay. Okay. Work session minutes. We have,
June 10th, they're in your file.
Can we go back to the trash?
yep.
What happens if this fails?
Well, as I said on the presentation, we will be monitoring this in a month by month in order to determine what will happen. And I know that this has been under discussion and the select board.
And I understand we're gonna monitor, I get that. But if you monitor it and it says that this is just not gonna work, what's next? Did we, cause we thought about that, do we know what's gonna happen?
So right now, I'm not gonna make any expressions on if this is going to fail or not.
Do we have a contingency plan, I guess, is my question.
Well,
We can, if you have ideas, other than
Well,
increasing fees, that's about the only thing I could think of. If it's starting to fail, we increase fees next year.
Or
But
the
if we
bad
don't even
cost.
make it through the first year, then
The only reason I ask is that, you know, you put your presentation on at town hall, at the town meeting. And you had 5%, maybe 10% of the people that was out of the 2,000 we need to make it work. Those odds aren't great, so I got a bad feeling myself. I'm not sure if this is gonna take off down the road. I hope it does, and you guys put a lot of work into it. I commend you for that, but the other side of me says that this is something's gonna happen.
It's really too bad that the purple bags have become such a problem in the last month, because I feel that if they were available, that we would not be in this position that we are in.
I
But we
agree,
are in it.
I agree.
We can't talk about spilt milk. Let's try to go forward with
Mhm.
education. Shaw's has told me that a lot of private people have been calling them thinking that if they have private trash, but they can still use the recycling program through the town, and that is not true.
Right.
So you have to have a sticker for trash and recycling. You can't put out recycling without your trash. If there's not a sticker, it will not be picked up.
Right.
Which will take our tonnage down dramatically for the forecast, which will help this, but it is a pilot program. And it's very scary, I understand that. But
if we
I feel
continue to
that,
try to sell it at $10 a month, have unlimited recycling picked up and your purple bags versus driving to a transfer station with this junk in your car. And a lot of people don't have open
No, I
trucks.
see, I
So
totally get what
If
you
we
say.
sell it, that's it.
and that's education,
Yeah,
that's bringing out, like
education,
Irene talked about, there's a lot of education. We have our first flyer here. We didn't want to inundate it with too much information. I've had a lot of calls from people that have wanted to sign up. I actually had someone call and say that they would pay more money if they could be number one. They could have number one sticker.
Okay. What do they want to pay?
So do you have an example? So if, do you have a target number? And you need X amount by X date,
So we need-
or you say this is not gonna work?
so at the targeted number that we have, that we based on this program is 1,800 families. That's the number.
Get that,
That's the number that we base on our projections. So
and you want that by, when's that gonna happen?
August
End of
15th,
September, August, that you need that 1,800?
August 15th, which.
Well,
gives-
there's 160 in the stabilization fund that's already there. And then the bag sales will already be in there. So there'll be enough money
Yeah, I
to
get that.
float this.
Float. But do you have a date there? You need to say, if we don't have this by then,
No, because we don't know what's gonna happen with the tonnage, and it's just, it's very hard to do that. It was also difficult to forecast a program that we didn't know was gonna work. So now that we have the program, now that we have budgets, now that we're answering these questions, which are all really helpful, it's gonna take at least 3 to 6 months to see what the data is going to be.
Yeah,
And that's why with the analysis on a monthly basis and not only me analyzing it, but bringing it to the board to analyze, we as board will make a
And you are
decision
make that as-
what we're gonna be able to do because as of right now, and we can vote on this, as of right now, can I get a motion to cancel the authority of the chairman of the Board of Health deciding matters and on trash? Can I get a motion on that?
well, I don't know that. He doesn't wanna be responsible for this, he wants.
No, I'm talking about for the period of the process, we did this because because
We gave you the power to make a call without.
and right now, I am requesting a motion to withdraw that authority from the chairman of the Board of Health so that the authority can come to the board with its 3 members
Okay,
in a matter of trash.
I make a motion to remove you of all powers given to you, in regards to the trash.
Second.
Seconded.
Sure.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
So now you're off the hook. We're on the hook.
That's fine.
So,
So let's say by September, October, August 1st, you have 2 people sign up. What are you gonna do?
We're gonna have a lot of emergency meetings.
yeah,
yeah,
We're gonna have a lot of emergency meetings.
I just did, that's just.
there's a huge convenience to the trash pickup and it's a
the
heck of a lot
people
cheaper
need to, the people
to
need
do
to,
this program. And I think if people wanna support the town,
No, yeah,
and the ability, I hope.
I'm going on the what ifs. If only 2 people sign up for this thing by August 1st, and there's no purple bags in play, we're gonna have trash on the side of the road?
so
Somebody gonna
that's,
pick it up? We're not gonna pick it up?
that's why we as a board, we have to discuss, that's why the monthly projections that we are going to,
Have we talked to Sharon and say, if this doesn't happen on August 1st, are you gonna still pick up our trash?
When, when is the cutoff of the contract, the 3-year contract that we have to sign with him?
You have until September 1st
September
before,
1st.
because you have a 2-month contract.
Right.
Which is the extension that we
And
signed.
the flyer that's going out says everyone has to be signed up by August 15th. So you have 2 weeks to get all this
And
information
if
to
they're not-
Shaw's
and
to
if
let
they're
them know.
And if they're not,
Then we'll be going back to the drawing board.
yeah, I'm just asking, because I'm a contingency guy. I go on a hike, I got a destination, I go down this trail. I wanna get to my destination, I might get off that trail, but I got another plan to get to that destination. I'm not seeing that here, so.
And as of right now, if your question is reaching out to select board or to the town for additional monies, no.
No, I'm not gonna get any money, there's no way, no how.
Well, I think what Tom is saying is the option, let's say we don't do this program, there would have to be a transfer station in town where people can take the purple bags. It would have to be 2 weekends a month they're doing it in Ashby.
No, we can't do it because we, there's no time to do it.
Well, if this crashes and burns, the trash has gotta go somewhere,
But
so.
I propose, I
It doesn't
understand,
have to go anywhere. What the selectmen had proposed to is everyone just gets their own trash.
But that's what we're gonna have to say.
Worst case scenario.
That's what I'm talking about.
So there's one contingency plan. I'm sorry it fails. You're gonna have to get your own, but
That's what I wanna know, okay?
We're
I'm
trying,
not a voting member. so
But here's
don't
the-
ask me.
but here's the thing, right now, let's be positive, and I know that the people of Townsend will support this program. The people supported it in voting on June 18th. And publicly, as I said it in Facebook, I said it again to the people of Townsend. I apologize of this situation with the purple bands. I really apologize about this situation, and we here the Board of Health, we're trying to work diligently so that the trash cannot be interrupted. And and from the 3,000 and something people census in the town of Townsend, I'm very optimistic that everybody that even it's gonna be over 1,800 people coming in, I'm optimistic that the program is going to work. We need a contingency plan, yes, I agree with you, Mr. Arsenal. But I think that when the moment comes, when we analyze the data and the numbers that we have in front of us, I think we're able to make a decision with a forecast. We just cannot come up with a forecast without
Right.
in the air. That's why we said that this is a pilot program for this year. So that for our next year, we can propose a definite and strong program, not only for 3 years, but I don't know, for 5 or 10 years for the town, because this is something new that the Board of Health is working with. This is the first time that the Board of Health has an enterprise account that's been approved and that's been worked out using the guidance from the Department of Revenue.
Which is giving you a hard time already. This enterprise account. So, you know, it started, so.
All right,
You guys took on a huge task, the 2.5 person board here, taking on this, trying to find $1 million a year for trash. I commend you, it was a huge task. Personally, I think I would have left it upstairs with the 10, the 2 boards up there. And let them tell the town that.
they wanted to dump the trash.
I really did, let them tell the town, because, now it's on. So
Now it's on our
it's gonna be
shoulders.
my,
If
it's
we can
right here.
get enough support and we exceed those numbers, at the end of this year, there's a possibility of even reducing the cost of the bags, if this is very successful.
I
And
don't
that's
really
the
see
goal.
the reducing the
350.
bags. I think that looking at the past towns that have a program like this, the more people that sign up, the user fee for the sticker would go down.
Okay, the sticker.
So the sticker fee would go down, say, to $100 if you have 2,000 people sign
Okay.
up.
All right,
And then we were actually hoping with this program that in 2 years, we would phase out the purple bags and we would go back to the
At some
program the
point,
way that it was, 64 gallons. Anything other than that, yes, you get your purple overflow bag, not pay as you throw bag, your overflow bag, and it goes back down to $3, not $3.50.
how much was it per resident, the contract? I know it was something like 2170 a month times. So it's like $285 a year was
With
the
a
current
private.
with the current contract. No, but private is 600, and that's on a good day. They're more like 800 when I started asking around. So that's what was in the town budget. Based on the 3,000, what was the number? Do you remember? 3,000? Julie Shaw gave me the numbers one day, but
Residents?
not residents, houses that are picked up. I think it was 3,400.
It's like 3,400.
Yeah, okay, so, based on 3,400, it was under $300 a year.
Yeah, your numbers are great, the numbers work out.
The other thing,
But I'm looking at other towns. I mean, you did do the minimum amount of money on bags, which is great, that's what people want. But when I look at other towns, they have like $7 a bag,
oh, no, no.
$5.
Well, we're.
And
Here's
here's the thing, we're projecting at
Right.
on the 3rd year to probably, and we're gonna visit that on probably eliminating, if that is what the board wants. To on that projection, that's what we forecast, and that's what the finance committee and we as a board have signed together, that we are forecasting that to evaluate that possibly in that 3rd year to determine whether we continue with the bags or not, or come up with something else too.
Yeah, I commend you, I hope so, I hope it works, I really do. I'm just a little nervous, you might not.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes?
Another thing to understand with the tonnage, where the recycling is going to go down for tonnage because we are paying tonnage, a flat fee and tonnage, it's collection only now, not all inclusive. You also had all the municipal dumpsters that were included in that tonnage, that 2,300 tons. So you're not gonna have all of that, which is gonna take those numbers down
Mm-hmm.
dramatically again. And we don't have any way of tracking how much that tonnage was because it just went into the same trucks with the curbside.
Yeah.
So there's no way to tell how much tonnage they were having. But if you look at all the dumpsters around town and some of them, the cemeteries were being emptied every other week,
Okay.
there could be a substantial savings there too.
But I encourage to my board to, let's evaluate the numbers on a monthly basis. And we can talk about, and we can determine when the time comes, what will be that alternate plan then. But I think that right now, we want to encourage everybody to subscribe to the program, to
To need everybody.
Yeah, we need as many as possible. You absolutely. right.
It's a need.
Yeah.
Not encourage. Encourage also, but
And the thing is that for me, paying $125 a year plus the bags, I mean, it's.
I said the numbers are right. I don't disagree with the numbers and that they're the least expensive I around. I do agree with that. So as far as towns is concerned, they're getting a deal. So
Okay,
I agree with that.
let's hope and pray people understand that and don't
Mhm.
jump ship on us. And some will even hopefully come back because.
They are coming back.
They are.
Yes, they are.
It's getting
Yes, they are.
expensive.
I've had 3 residents that called me and said, I signed up before. And I think I wanna go back, what's now happening, and they said that they would be coming back.
Is there gonna be an online where they can register online?
It is, there's a
There's
QR
a
code.
QR code on the flyer.
It'll
actually.
also be on, a link on the website as well as them coming into my office, because I think a large amount of the, seniors will be coming into the office.
Glad you're getting phone calls are coming back, cause I'm getting phone calls that say still. So,
You really?
well, yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
The spite thing in this town is something. And half the crap that goes on in this town hall is because of spite. That's how we ended up here with you guys.
Mhm.
I know it is. So,
And that's what I worry about, is it was spite about the purple bags, it's really not about the
it
program.
really isn't.
And it being affordable, we all know it's affordable, they're just frustrated that they can't find the bags, and they've lost faith in the town being able to provide them.
So, I know the purple bags are thrown down here on your lap, so that's how I know.
Well, we always had the purple bags, but it was overage. And that's what they did. They turned it into
Yeah,
bag programs. Cause I used the purple bags for years.
seriously, when you guys fought for the power down here, I was like, you know, it might be better off to just leave it up there and let them say, no, but I get it.
But here's the thing, the authority resides, it resides to the Board of Health. It's not, it's I mean,
Sometimes you gotta take the hit though, but I understand.
but it's already, yep, okay. So let's go to the minutes.
You have in your packages, June 10th, 2025 minutes. Paul, you weren't on the board, but you can certainly read them.
I can read them, yes. Would help.
And I'm glad you're back on the board, because there's minutes that I have to do where, Todd wasn't on the board, so I will have those at the next meeting, so.
Okay, get them copies and that.
Yeah, it was a little, we were not sure how we were gonna do that with the members leave.
So let me ask you this, reread it and.
I put the minutes instead of the agenda on the first page, because a lot of people will look at the agenda and say, oh, we're at the June 10th meeting, and it was nowhere. Those are the minutes, so I apologize for looking at it out of order.
Help.
Where do we sign?
Oh, you can sign it wherever.
Why sign? I wasn't here.
Yeah, you can use it, sign. Thank you.
Invoices.
Invoices. So we have, under a line item in the Board of Health budget, we have $5,000 for condemnation for houses that might have to be condemned, because the town would be responsible for relocating the people under reasonable cost if you condemn the property. So $5,000 was set up a couple of years ago. And we are using that money for the constables. We had two constables. One constable was out of Woburn because 63 Mason Road was listed in Lexington, so we had served them there, but they weren't there. And then we had since found out through other resources that they were located in Winchington, so we had another constable serve them in Winchington. So it's $50 for each time. So there's two invoices, one for Raymond Gonzalez for $50 and one for Bay State Constables for $100. There is also a Western and Sampson landfill engineering invoice for regular groundwater monitoring in the amount of $2,180.35. They were out at the landfill on Monday, and the well replacement was a huge success
Oh, yeah.
in 100-degree weather. So, wow, that went well. Amazon, there was a broom that we didn't pay for. It's one of the brooms to get the debris off the concrete pad. So, we have a metal one to pick up all the metal, and then we need something for the glass and whatnot. So that was $24.84. Mosquito Authority comes and sprays for the mosquitoes. We've also started to get sampling for West Nile and Triple E, and it is in Massachusetts. It just hasn't hit the county yet. So as we get those weekly reports, we will definitely put them on the website for the residents to know. So Mosquito Authority was $210. East Coast Recycling is all of our TV and electronics disposal. That is a flat fee of $675 for the red container that is at the recycling center. Minuteman Press is doing the stickers for the new program. It comes out of pay-as-you-throw expenses, which comes out of the grant for $62,000. They are 8x10 stickers, waterproof, neon
8
yellow.
inches by 10
Yeah.
holy,
Yeah, well, the haulers need to see them,
okay,
and they're numbered,
okay,
so each person, we will have a database, so if their tote or whatever they have goes missing and then it arrives at someone else's house, we'll be able to track it.
okay.
So that was $3,878.80. Also, Staples is doing the flyer that you see in front of you right there. That will go out to 3,800 households in Townsend. It goes to all the households because it's in every door direct mailer. That is $2,374.07.
And that's with the pay-as-you-throw grant.
And that is from the pay-as-you-throw grant. So those are your warrant article in the amount of $9,493.07.
And the reimbursement that we're requesting to the pay-as-you-throw in total is. Do we have that?
Not putting that on.
I signed it, but
These are two separate accounts, right? Recycling and the enterprise fund, they're all.
Yes, when I say revolving account,
Right.
that's the recycling center. And that's why we made sure that the enterprise fund was completely separate from the recycling center. We don't want them crossing at all.
I think you have it. Oh no, here it is, here it is. So, in total. The total that we are requesting for reimbursement is $19,128.62. That's what we're asking from the grant. And the situation with the grant is that we have to request it like yearly. It's not like, for example, if I have an expense today and next month and request the reimbursement, from what I was told, that doesn't work that way. So we have to like accumulate the cost and request the grant. So
And this one was a total, this was the grant of 61,000 or something like that? Yeah.
Here, do you want to see this? Did you not?
no, we haven't passed it yet.
So,
Well, we have to sign it, right?
Well, actually, we're not signing invoices anymore. We have the warrant in front of you.
It's the first page that we signed.
So, it's just the first page.
And do all three of us sign?
You don't have to. Any one of you can sign, as long as you're
have we
reviewing.
taken any grant money yet or is
It's the first time, it's the first time.
What's gonna happen, maybe when I'm allowed to talk about the wells that have to be drilled at the old dump, what's going on with that?
I actually saw, the DEP was at the landfill on Monday. When I let them in for the well replacement, and they did say that they had found some records. When they were researching the well information that showed that the old landfill had a very large amount of clay that was placed over it. So they thought that that was very, he said back then, that was the way to close a landfill, so that's really good news for you.
Minimizes seepage.
So we haven't forgotten about you, even though I'm sure you want us to. We haven't forgot, but we have much more pressing issues with landfills that were closed that had nothing, no.
40 years ago, there was a complaint about the old landfill.
Which old landfill? There's been a couple.
The one across, on Turnpike Road by Charlie's.
So there was a complaint, and they showed up about 2 months ago, and Carla got the call, and she's over there with the guy, and she's like, 40 years, he goes, yeah, we're running a little behind. Honest to God, he said that to her, we're running a little
I said,
behind.
so what
40-year-old complaint.
Why are we actually here? And he said, well, there was a complaint. And I said, well, when was the complaint? And he said in October of 1982.
Yeah.
And I said, and we're
Statute of limitations.
following up now, and it was, they had some grant money that had gone in, and they are, and Rick Metcalf told me where he supports Ashby and Ashburnham as well as Townsend. They're all over those towns too.
They are.
So they're not targeting, they're targeting the whole state. They're going after things that they should have done 40 years ago.
All right. If they find that that is leaking and causing issues, who's responsible for that? Are we?
The town will have to raise appropriations to put some monitoring wells out there.
Monitoring, but cleanup is where I was going, if it becomes an issue.
Well, they'd have to do some soil testing first, and considering that there's 2 waterways on each side, let's just keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, okay.
How much authority do we want?
Yeah, all right, makes sense.
Okay. So our next meeting will be on July 8th, 2025. Any other questions, comments?
Is that a Tuesday also?
Yes.
It's a Tuesday. Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn if we don't have any comments to adjourn tonight's meeting?
I propose to close the meeting.
Okay, I second it. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned at 6:49 PM.